Okay, just a brief update. This afternoon, Lindsay Blake, who is the attorney for one of the attorneys for the prosecution, interviewed and took the testimony of Detective Mattingly. She did better. Now, when you compare all of the attorneys on the prosecution side, Lindsay really is the best so far. She's usually straight to the point, but this time today, I don't know, it's like a fire got under their hiney side when they came back from their little break because she actually did start objecting and she was like to the point and didn't let Pryor just kind of try to run over the witness, which is what he always does. The testimony this afternoon was about the gun that was pointed toward Tammy. Now, Tammy Daybell died October 19th, the night of the 18th, morning of the 19th. They're not sure. But on October 9th, she was coming home, was getting stuff out of the trunk of her car, and somebody came up and ran toward her with what she called either a paint gun, a rifle, or a gun. She wasn't sure, although she did emphasize several times she thought it was a paint gun, but nothing was ever fired, so they don't know if it was an actual weapon or was it a paint gun. So the detective that they had on the stand this afternoon, he took a picture of guns that were confiscated, and one of them was a rifle that was shaped very similar to a paintball gun. So, they're just making the point that it could have been a rifle or it could have been a paint gun, could have been a rifle. Point is nobody really knows. And since Tammy is now deceased, and she wasn't shot at. They didn't shoot per se, so there wasn't any paint to be seen or any bullets to collect. But the whole thing is 10 days before she actually ends up dying, somebody sneaks, comes up to her while she's at home and points a weapon of some sort at her in the dark. And they were wearing all black, had a ski mask on, and when she saw them, she screamed for her husband and her son, and then they supposedly came out. So that, I mean, clearly there was an attempt on her life prior to her dying. But anyway, Lindsay did really good asking questions and setting a timeline as to what happened, who was involved, and what did the detective see. Then Pryor gets up, and again, I don't know if this man must not watch himself. I really wish he would because, oh, I mean, there's one if you're going to be an attorney, yes, you have to be, self-assured. Self-assurance is a good thing. But this isn't self-assurance. This is arrogance of the highest regard. He talks down, he's condescending, he's rude, and it's one thing to sit there and go, you stated to the prosecution, your testimony was. Now, could it also have been this? Is it possible that this could have also been the truth? 9 times out of 10, the person would have to answer, well, yeah. But, he's like, "Isn't it true? Are you sure? Did you talk to them? How do we know you talked to them? Do you keep records of that? Is there this?" I mean, it's like, wow. When Mattingly was testifying to the fact that he was trying to reach Chad's daughter Emma to get her comments or anything she had to say about it, he wanted to interview her. Emma has skirted and has refused to talk to the police about any of this. And then Pryor goes, "Oh, so did you talk to anybody else? And do you have proof you tried to talk to Emma? Did you record any of this? Or how are we just supposed to take your word for it?" And the detective had said several times, "Yes, it's recorded, no video, audio only." And he goes, "Well, how come you didn't talk to anybody else? Why didn't you go and try to get a hold of any other Chad's other children?" And he would be like, "Because it was decided who was going to talk to whom. And Emma was assigned to this detective." I agree. I'm still on the Daybell case. It just really has me fired up. So, and he wouldn't take that as an explanation. And he kept saying there were multiple agencies involved, but his responsibility was talk to Emma. Emma refused to even speak with the detective. Every time he would try to call, she would never answer it. She would just say, "No, I'm not going to say anything." Now, this is the same Emma that was recorded when Chad was placed in the back of the vehicle, the police vehicle, and when they found the bodies, they'd actually found the children now in Chad's backyard. Chad's in the back of the police vehicle, and Emma and Chad are sitting there talking about the mortgage payments and the bills and that. And Emma's like, "Oh, okay, I'll, something about money on an Amazon card or something." And Emma goes, "Well, I'll just talk to Lori about that." The woman he had an affair with on her mother ends up dead. Lori's husband ends up dead. Lori's children are dead, buried in Chad's backyard. Lori and Chad took off to Hawaii 17 days after Tammy died, and they got married there. And now children are being found, and they're talking about bills. And I'm like, "Oh my God. Okay, this is the one that refused to respond to anything that Detective Mattingly was trying to, get information from." Oh, you do, Greg. This case, I am telling you. Hi, Rick. Nice to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. But and so basically, what do you do with that? You have I understand no child wants both parents gone. They've lost their mother, she's dead. Now their father's being arrested, and his mistress, then turned wife, was arrested, convicted of murder. And, now her dad's being arrested. And yeah, nobody wants, but at the same time, they're digging up children in your yard. So I don't know. It's Rick's talking to Greg. So I don't know. It's just it's frustrating. But the good thing is that at least this time, the prosecuting attorney, like I said, her name is Lindsay Blake. She did a really good job questioning and objecting when Pryor would get out of control. And then when Pryor was done with his cross, then she got back up and she went to the main points, like, you said there were multiple agencies involved, and this is why you didn't, question. And, so she clarified and made sure he clarified all the points that, Pryor thought he had made. And yeah. Oh, look at these two. They're so funny. You're talking about the other stuff. But anyway, so I don't know. I don't really know anybody in the inner circle, especially in the Crowley case, that's been following the Chad Daybell case. I really wish somebody else. Come on, Rick. Come on, Greg. You guys got to go listen to this. Or actually, probably not, because once you get sucked in, you can't leave. Yes. Yes, Greg. That's funny. Those of you who are part of the Crowley case would know how funny that is with the leggings. I never did get a pair, but I did get a mug. So I got the mug and not the leggings. But Greg, the leggings were yours though, right? That was your thing. Greg says, "I'm going to hell." Yeah, but we're right there with you. We'll all stay. We'll share that spot and bring water. But yeah. Anyway, it's just it's amazing. I guess also another thing that surprises me is not only does the prosecution not have any knowledge, but the defense. And you would think the defense would, at least, they've had 4 years now waiting for this case to come to trial. These murders took place 4 years ago, and that defense attorney still has no clue about the medical aspect and how bodies would react. I mean, he doesn't even know the word lividity. He finally got it right. He kept calling it lapidity, lapit with a P. And we're like, what? And then pulmonary edema instead of edema. And this is what I'm talking about. This is the level of unprofessionalism. You're like, oh my God. Oh, well, hold on. These guys are just talking back and forth. This is funny. Oh, yeah. And tumblers. Yes, he needs to have tumblers on this case. And we'll make it cool. And it is a crazy case. And it's just so sad. Who are the star witnesses? So far, it appears to be the unfortunately, which was part of the coroner who really, I mean, she botched her testimony. Pryor was really able to rip her up one wall and another and not tearing down her testimony, but aggressively beating her down verbally and tonal wise to where she just kind of shrunk into herself. And she was like whispering almost by the time she got done. And everybody's like, "What are you saying? We can't hear you. Speak up." Yeah, it was really sad. And unfortunately, this was somebody who was voted in to be a coroner, not the same as a medical examiner. She's not a doctor. However, she said that she was an EMT for almost 20 years, but yet had no experience in understanding and being able to, when you walk into a scene, you see a woman lying face down, her lividity is on her back, and you're not going to say, "I think we need to do an autopsy." And you're just going to take at, at whatever. Whatever Chad said to her, that woman face value. That's what I was trying to think. She took at face value everything Chad said to her. There was all kinds of, I call it staging. There was all kinds of stuff placed around the room. There was a picture. They went back and looked at the photographs of the crime scene and saw a Fitbit on Tammy's side of the bed. Now, there's lots of Facebook photos that show Tammy wearing a Fitbit, which proves she was extremely active. They went back to get the Fitbit and it's not there. And the woman never thought to gather that or to take that Fitbit into evidence. And no, she's just going to say, "Oh, well, he was really upset and he was crying a lot." Oh my. Oh, okay. Oh, let me get some of these other questions. Who are the the mankeys? Oh, never mind. I got it. Sorry, Rick. Lori, is she going to testify? No, I don't think they're going to testify in either one of their cases. Now, Lori's trials were held last year. She was found guilty on all charges. I don't think she was tried in Tammy's death, though. She was tried in her children's death, found guilty. She's now in Arizona facing charges in the death of her ex-husband. And everybody's pretty sure, the trial has yet to happen, but we have a feeling that she'll end up getting convicted too. Bikinis is bikinis. Oh my gosh, you guys, you're so funny. Now, here's the main difference is Lori refused to let any of the prosecution or the defense, she couldn't really stop the prosecution, but the defense, nobody was allowed to say anything bad about Chad at all. And she refused to talk. She's like, "I'm not saying anything. Don't defend me. Don't." And she really didn't have any opposition to what was being said. She just sat there and kind of took it. Chad and his attorney, they throw that woman under the bus every chance they get. "Oh, that was Lori doing it. Chad wasn't there. That was Lori. These are Lori's kids. That was Lori writing that text." I would really like to know. I would love to know what Lori says about all of this now. Let's see. Yeah, lividity, Lividity, not sure spelling, but how blood pools to the lowest part of the dead body. Correct. Whatever is lowest and is touching something. So if you're sitting, it'll be on your bottom side. If you're laying on your stomach, it'll be on the front. Whatever is touching a hard surface, that's where the blood will pool. Yes, at the lowest point. And so when her lividity is on her backside, her lower back and the back of her legs, and some on the back of her arm, and then she's found face down, half on the bed, half on the floor. He says that. Now, this is what I'm saying. He says on one hand, he woke up because she fell out of the bed. And then he turns around and says, "Oh, I pulled the blankets and then she fell out." So the guy can't even keep his story straight. I am. It's like, I know that lividity. uh, Yes, yeah, Lori will. She unfortunately was not eligible for the death penalty, so she did get 2 or 3 life sentences, I can't remember, but yeah, she was found guilty. She will spend life. Now Chad is facing the death penalty because, he wanted to wait it all out, and so because of that, he is facing the death penalty. Um Isn't that funny? That's hilarious. So, yeah, I'm telling you, it's just amazing. And if you guys go back, if you're gonna look into this case, you have to go back to, was it? I don't know if it was, what's today? Is today Wednesday? I don't even know what day it is. I think it was either Friday or Monday's testimony where they're going over the text messages between Chad and Lori. And Chad is constantly complaining, and he's angry because he's on a family vacation. He doesn't want to be there with his wife. He says he feels like he's trapped under the stairs and he just wants to get loose. And then Lori's having a fit. You're supposed to be here with me. And it's just this constant manipulation back and forth with each other. Lori stopped talking to Chad because she was mad. Her kids are dead. Her husband, well, now, her husband is dead. Her children are dead. And she's in Hawaii by herself. And Chad's still at home with his wife. So she stops talking to him. Well, he gets all, I'm not trying to manipulate you, but the whoever it is that they're praying to up in heaven has taken away their protection from Lori, and now she's not safe from all the evils of the world. So if she wants to be protected, and if she, in order for her to be protected again by Chad, she has to contact him or send him an emoji, and then he can reinstate everything and beg the gods to save her again. Wow. Oh, wow. And he was writing this book. Okay, it's really, really bad writing. What is it? East Idaho News has a copy of this book somewhere where you can actually download it and read it. Now, Chad, Chad talks about his manly nether regions, and he calls it the storm, and how the storm is just wanting her, right? Oh my God. It's like, no, please God, no. Oh, but anyway, yeah, it's this case. It's very disturbing. There are a lot of things that happened. And unfortunately, because these two people were so selfish and so egotistical, and the children were in the way for whatever reason. Now, I don't know if it was due to Chad's prodding to get rid of the children, or if it was Lori wanting to get rid of them just because that would be the only way to keep Chad around. We don't have enough of that information. All we know is that the police officers say, according to the text messages, they say there are tens of thousands of messages back and forth between texts and emails. And they say that within those messages, it's very clear that these two wanted these children out of the way and dead. And that's sad. Talia was 17. She was almost on her way out the door. I mean, she was just getting ready to start her own life. and the little 7-year-old, he was, I guess, a highly difficult autistic child. Everybody who testifies to his behavior said it was very difficult to deal with, but at the same time, they say he was a really loving little boy. He was a little boy that I guess he had, super loving or super destructive. And I don't know anything about autistic children. I don't have any myself, but I guess they can be difficult to deal with. And unfortunately, JJ would have his bad moments, but his good moments. And when his brother, they had his brother on the stand, his older brother testifying, and that was just gut wrenching. He was up there and they're showing him pictures of Tylee and of JJ, and he's breaking down. And then the defense attorney has the nerve to get up there and then just be a condescending ass to this young man. He lost his whole entire family. His mom's in prison. His dad is dead. His brother and sister are dead. He's alone. And that's the best Pryor could do. Yeah. If you want to get a really good, I don't know. Have you guys ever heard of the YouTube channel It's a Crime? Linda with It's a Crime. She does the best videos on Chad Storm. It is hilarious. I love her. So if you get a chance, check out her channel. You'll have to go back to last year during Lori's trial, and she covers all of that Storm stuff in her videos. I laugh because it's disturbing. This time they were reading some of the things that Chad was writing, but what they found, this will be disturbing. What the FBI was able to track is what Chad wrote in the book. What was Chad's name? Oh gosh, I can't remember. Was his name James? I can't remember his name in his book, but then he called Lori Elena. And anyway, whatever happened with those two in the book, the FBI can then point to actual events that occurred in life. So it was kind of like a diary with different names. But anyway, I mean, again, this case it's got all these fingers everywhere, and it's not just a simple thing to sit down and go, okay, they killed them, and now we're on trial. No, you have a lot. Chad and Lori were Latter-day Saints, but they took that religion and bastardized it, and they twisted it and created portals, and they were angels, and Lori was married to the angel Moroni, and she's a goddess, and she was right there with Jesus, and Jesus was telling her that she needed to kill her kids, but her kids, she talks to her children, and even though her children are dead, no, they're doing really good, and they're really happy right now. Yeah, they're way, way, way over the deep end, but sad for sure. It's just a very sad case. But point being, what I wanted to come back and say is that Lindsay Blake, one of the prosecuting attorneys, did interview Detective Mattingly this afternoon, and it's like she stepped up her game, and they didn't just put up with Pryor on his cross-examination. They did object to his bullying, and they pretty much kept him, on par with just the questions and his cross at the time. So this afternoon, finally, for about a couple hours out of what I think we're in week 3 now, finally we get a good, decent 2 hours of trial. Greg says they're bat crap crazy. They are. They really, really are. And, I feel bad. It's like I was talking to Russell. It reminds me a lot of the David Koresh in the Adventist Church, how David Koresh came from that core religion, but what he did had nothing to do with the Adventist Church. The same thing with these guys. Their core religion is Latter-day Saints, but it has nothing to do with it. They're like giving the LDS Church a really bad name. And I know a lot of people don't like them anyway and think that they're cultish. I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But it's like, I can't stand it when people commit horrible crimes in the name of religion and then say that they are backed up by scripture. They're murdering children, and scripture says that they can do that. Wow. Yeah. So I've been on here almost a half an hour. See, you guys, you shouldn't let me talk, and you guys shouldn't be talking about cankinis, mankinis and cankinis. But anyway, yeah, Greg, I'm telling you, you would love this case. And Rick, you probably should cover it if you're still doing interviews and stuff. Right now, of course, you can't interview anybody from the trial because they're still, most of them are still under, I don't know if you want to call it a gag order, but they're still under subpoena and they can't talk about the case yet. But there's a lot of information about this case. Like today, I think there were 12 or 13,000 people watching it live just on East Idaho News. And there are multiple YouTube channels that are covering it live as well. So it's huge. This is really huge right now. So if you guys get in there and, start covering it, because it's like a cautionary tale. You get two people who led such normal lives and were considered normal to an extent, and then they meet, and what happens? Things they're like, gasoline in a match. They blow everything up that they come into contact with. Interview the police, and I really would love to, when it's all said and done. I think most of them I think are still under subpoena and can't talk. But the sad thing is that at the beginning of the first week of the trial, they had the initial officers on the stand, and they're giving their testimony, and there wasn't one of them that didn't break down. They were describing the smell and then the state of these children's bodies and how it affected them, and it's like, and this is what makes me so mad. There's so much evidence in this case. I mean, a lot. And we have, a book. There are texts, there are emails, there's eyewitnesses, everything. And although people should be given their due process, when it comes to things like this, I don't know. I think it's horrible that all of these people have to be put through the ringer again to recall the condition of these children because these two adults couldn't control their lust. And that's all it was. They, destroyed their own spouses, destroyed her children, destroyed the immediate family members, left one child with nobody. He's by himself now in the world. He no longer has a father or mother. And they were okay with this. All for sex. And when you look at the two of them, you're like, okay. I mean, whatever floats their boat, right? Maybe clearly Chad did it for Lori, and clearly Lori did it for Chad. But when you look at Lori, really was this little tiny petite, beautiful blonde-haired woman. She was very vivacious, and you look at Chad, and he's like this big dump. And Tammy, I mean, clearly she loved him. It was her husband, but it's like, I don't know. I don't get it. I'm at a loss. So Greg says, it is like 5 stories in one. It is. It really is. And the sad part is that Tammy, she was on antidepressants at the end. But from what I understand, Chad had been telling people for I don't know how long, but he kept telling everybody his wife was going to die. She's going to die early. She's going to die young. And he would make passes at women all the time. And she stayed with him. I'm like, really? I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I understand not wanting to rip apart your family, and I understand that your religious beliefs are so strong that divorce just should never be an option. However, that caveat should be the moment your spouse starts talking about you dying and that you're going to be dead and they're still and they're making passes at another person, it's time to walk away. There's nothing sanctified about that union at all. But I don't know. Okay, I'm going off on a tangent. So, yeah, it's been a half an hour. I probably hacked enough. But thank you, Greg, and thank you, Rick, for joining me. This was pretty funny. Thank you for the laugh too. That was great. So, um, I guess I'll just. Oops, I don't even know where my mouse is. I've been staring so hard at the screen, I can't even see. See, as you get older, your eyesight gets weird, and so it gets really blurry. Even when you have glasses, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't see. But yeah, definitely look up the case. Definitely follow Linda with It's a Crime. Like I said, oh God, I never laughed so hard when last year she was covering the Chad Storm. Oh my gosh. I can't even you have to watch her. She's amazing. But then definitely follow East Idaho News. And again, there's a lot of stuff on this case on YouTube. You'll probably find it everywhere right now. But yeah, but just remember there are 5 dead people. Tylee, JJ, Tammy, Charles, and Alex. 5 dead people. Brandon was attempted murder. And then Tammy, before she died, was another attempted murder. So it's sad. So anyway, hope you guys have a great night. Again, thank you guys for joining me, and we will talk to you next time. And we will end.